Welcome back to episode 2 of season 3 of the Boost Hospitality podcast. This season is all about interviewing people in the hospitality world who are helping other owners with their bookings and how to make more money. My name is Mark Simpson and I am the founder of Boostly. You can find out more about me and what I'm doing by going to boostly.co.uk. Boostly is spelled Boostly. This episode, I'm going to be interviewing Christopher Chilton. Like Callum in episode 1, Chris has grown up in hospitality. He lives in London. He works for his family business with his mum, making sure that their property is one of the best bed and breakfasts in the Wimbledon area. I've known Chris now for a few years, and we've actually started working together on side projects, which I'm really excited to be able to do more with him in the future. I really wanted to get him on here because he's going to talk about the power of the upsell and why it is so important for a property with limited availability. So limited rooms, a limited availability. He's only got a couple of rooms in his guest house. And, you know, without having to knock down extensions and getting more rooms in, he found out a way of being able to make more money basically from the guests who are coming to stay with him. It's a really good chat. I'm really looking forward to you to listening and finding out all about him. And if you want to reach out to him at any point, go into the hospitality community Facebook group. He's a member in there, and he just says, please reach out and send him a message if you've got any questions. Again, if you haven't yet joined the hospitality community Facebook group, go to Facebook right now. In that little search bar at the top, type in hospitality community, and then you will see our group come up. If you fail to find it, add me on Facebook, facebook.com/Mr. Mark Simpson. Send me a message, say that you want to get a link to the community, and I'll let you know that straight away. All right, without further ado, let me introduce to you Chris Chilton.
My name's Chris Chilton. I grew up in a bed and breakfast. When my parents got divorced when we were younger, my mum started renting out rooms, went from long term to short term. And then in about 2007, we did a massive upgrade of our property in London. And we went sort of a boutique sort of end of the market for bed and breakfast. As my mum used to run a B&B agency, and she saw it was all going that way. We've got to the point now where that sort of the agency's closed down, unfortunately, but you know things change. Airbnb comes through. Bed and breakfast in the cities is shifted. However, we've done a lot more work on adding value to our guests. We offer really filled out rooms. We give them all the creature comforts. We just introduced Netflix into the property as well now for all televisions. We're just trying to see where we can add value rather than either discounting prices or or even trying to change the business model because now that everything's about bookings.com and online bookings, there's very much a different way of guest booking. And I think that's what's the biggest shift has happened is not that the guests aren't there, they're approaching in a different way, and they've become very quickly very used to a new format. And bookings.com, Expedia, they make it incredibly easy to do so. So where I come in, I've always helped out with the family business. I've always been on the front of house as well as a bit of the back end marketing. Where I specialized in was more of the email marketing area, contacting, blogging, adding that kind of personal touch to a hospitality business online as well. I've also done work for a few listing websites. One in particular was a company called Wolsey Lodges. We've gone in there, we've sort of turned it around and sort of dusted it off a bit, re-brought out a brand new website, installed a new form of communication between not only the members but also those who run it. As well as being more proactive in approaching the customer base, which is an older customer base. On average, the age is 65 to 75, if not more. And actually, very interesting enough, that demographic still loves that very old-fashioned way of booking. Eventually they will run out, but there's something to be said about having multiple forms of being able to be contacted and not just thinking, well, I have to go online and only online, that's the only way to get bookings, because it's not the case. And there's still a huge market out there, especially for older guests who want that sort of more traditional home from home. I mean, don't forget they grew up with 40 Towers. That's the kind of that's the dinner, the whole experience is very much how they see bed and breakfast, and it's friends welcoming friends is how they see it. But that's been really interesting, really fun. And it's really revealing. It's really interesting to see how email is still a very important part of any communication with any guest. be it through a platform, and how you should really always contact them, get in touch with them as soon as possible, make them feel welcome, especially in a time when you don't speak to them now. You know, before you could get them on the telephone, you could have a conversation, you could definitely filter, is one way to describe it. But now you have no options in many ways if you're online. So communicating with them through emails and showing that you are more than just a property on a website is very important. So that's where I've been sort of specializing. I've also written for the Luxury Bed and Breakfast magazine. I ghostwrite for Sally Chilton, who's Sally's Notebook. We discuss everything from topics from, negative reviews, confidence building, hints and tips of how to add more value with home-baked goodies. It's very difficult for someone to say they don't like something when it's been homemade, just like Christmas presents. As long as they're homemade, everyone loves them, or they can't argue about them being given to them. So, so I've really sort of come in at hospitality from a very sort of organic way, and it's very interesting. I think it's one of the most interesting but most underappreciated industries at the moment, especially globally. There's huge transitions, and we've had huge upsets, but also positive change. And the way that the internet works is tools are built for people; they're not built for companies anymore. So as much as it feels like you're losing out nowadays on bed and breakfast in terms of bookings and commissions and everything, it's never been easier to actually take that back, to work on yourself, develop a little bit more, and really give your business how you want it to be, and balancing the books. At the moment, we did our assessment, we're about 75% online bookings now, which is doubled from last year. And seriously, that's a huge amount, and it's so easy. As soon as you get into the online bookings, they just absolutely start flooding in, especially if you're hitting a 9+ on bookings.com, you really do get pushed and promoted, and you get a wider audience, much wider audience, very international audience. We found we get a lot of interest from either from Asia or from Eastern Europe, all over the world really, which is nice to see. It's nice to have a variety of guests.
So would you say, obviously you've been on Booking.com, and I assume you're on the other booking sites as well. Obviously It has their cons, and we've documented them in the past on Boostly, and obviously you'll have written about that as well on the sites that you write for. But what do you feel are the pros of being on these websites? You've touched on it very briefly with opening to an audience that wouldn't necessarily be able to find you, but what do you find are the pros of working with these sites?
One of the pros is the bookings just come flooding in. They sort of sort themselves out. Obviously, you have frustrations with, say, some people putting bad card details in, and, when it comes to the cancellation period, you can't charge it. But I mean, for instance, the other day, we released our New Year section. We sort of held it off for a while, and we set prices. We set a minimum certain number of days, and we said, right, 4 days over New Year, anything from the 28th to the 2nd, they have to book all 4 days. And they were booked within an hour. All 3 rooms were booked, and we've had several changes, but they just keep filling. They keep filling. There's what's quite interesting is the alerts you get, especially Bookings.com. They've got a section where they tell you what key dates people are looking to. And although they suggest, you should drop your prices or you should release the room to one-nighter, you don't necessarily have to do that. But it is interesting to get that feedback, to understand that why things are in demand. And then what we do is I look, well, what events are on, what's going on in London to make that date so popular. So that I think that's one area. Another aspect, again, the international audience is great. I mean, from hospitality, the best thing about it is that you don't know who's going to come through the front door. And that's also the scariest thing about it. And to have that sort of variety is really nice. And I think the more you invest in these platforms, the better clients you get, especially if you're topping the rankings of 9.5 plus, those really sort of big markers that you've got a good sort of 20, 30 reviews under your belt. You do start to get the clients. And some of them are fantastic. Some of them, we've got some really good business travelers through Bookings.com recently, actually. And then they've converted into long-term bookers outside of the platform. So we've managed to convert some of the people through us. And it does do itself. It works. It works. They do all the marketing. They spend a lot of money on this stuff. And as long as you get all your ducks in a row, it can benefit you.
So do you compensate for the commission rates by having a different price offline and online?
What we've done is we've set breakfast at a higher rate through the booking platforms. So normally we say it's minimum £10 a person for breakfast, but actually when they call us direct, we either give them, say, hey, you book direct, we'll give you a free breakfast, or we say, actually, it's only an extra £5. So we do little bits like that. We try and and what we have done is we have 2 rates now. We have with breakfast and room only. And my God, a lot of people want room only nowadays. They don't, especially in cities. The amount of cafes there are, the idea of brunch, breakfast has changed. Like the idea of what a breakfast is very different to people now. So you've got to give that option. Give them a room only price as well as a breakfast price.
I like how you've gone about that, because obviously you're a bed and breakfast. So, anybody books with you directly, you can give that for free. But basically to work around the pricing issue, because obviously if you've got an online price anywhere on your website, you've got to match that on Booking.com, because that's part of the T's and C's when you sound. But they don't go into detail about the extras, for example. So by charging £10 for a breakfast, where that could cover the cost of 15 to 20%. That covered the cost of like 10% of that 20% commission by putting the breakfast on, which is clever, a good way of working around that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and what's quite interesting is that one thing we have started doing is we just say, hey, look, because you're here, we'll give you a coffee and croissant in the morning. And generally when they come down to have that, it's not too much more for them to go, actually, you know what, I'll pay for the cooked breakfast on the side as well. So you get that extra money, and you're not going to get charged commission on extras you give them when they're at the property. So that's why the room only price is really, really convenient, because you can make a little bit of that commission back. Not all of it, but you do make
a really good point. The upsell is something that I'm really, really trying to develop the message for like people in the community, listen to this podcast, any independent, because there's a very true saying out there that people are always chasing the new sale, the new booking, the new client, when really it's a lot easier to make money out of the people who have already given you money. So many people don't realize that or don't do that. So just talk about any other upsells or any upsell tactics that you can maybe share with us, please.
Well, one upsell, it's more, it's interesting because there's upsell and there's added value. There's sort of slightly different. Upsell has definitely got that financial price tied to it. So breakfast is definitely one of our upsells. What we do is we do a returning upsell. So we say to them, hey, I hope you had a really nice time. You really enjoyed your stay here. Next time you come back, book 3 nights and we'll give you breakfast free on all the other nights as well. Or, if you come direct, we'll split the commission with you. So it's, Bookingcom charges 15%. We'll split it. We'll give you a 7.5% discount on whatever rate you come back. I mean, one idea I had, which was quite interesting, we haven't quite fully got set up in our house because we're more of a family home. But if you had like a proper business, one great idea is to collect local products from the area. So say there's like a shop, some jams, some marmalades, all that stuff. Create like a sales shelf in your kitchen and then say, hey, check out the local products. And you just mark up the prices. You just sort of say, okay, well, I've got a wholesale price from this person. This, you just add a couple of quid and you've got a little shop going on in your B&B as well. You just process the payments through yourself and you either buy the products up front or you do pay them afterwards. That's one idea that I've been playing around with, like, curating a lone little local shop, because people like to feel that they're in the local community. They're buying bits, they're getting that little bit of experience.
So to finish off then, could you please just share one bit of advice that you could pass on to any hospitality owner who is listening to this right now that you could recommend that they could do to boost their bookings?
You've got to be vocal. You've got to, it's not that you have to sort of tell your guests and rant about bookings.com and just like, oh, they're taking all this. You can't do that, but you do have to make them aware. You got to be a little bit more like, can you review? Ask them questions. You've got to ask them, pick and choose, but you've got to ask them, hey, can you leave a review on TripAdvisor? Hey, here's my business card. How about you come back, give me a call next time. I can always book off dates and I'll give you a free cancellation charge. You've just got to show, it's the fine line between, educating and also, informing. You know what I mean? It's that real, but you have to do it. It's got to come from you. It's got to come, you've got to really sort of, and you got to build that relationship quite quickly, but also sort of give them an incentive of why booking direct, why coming to you is the best way. One thing I've done was we stuck a pop-up box on our website. And I know everyone's got a thing about pop-up boxes, but I have 55 new clients, never come to stay with us before, who signed up because all I said, hey, before you go, special rates and discounts and deals, sign up here, we'll be in touch. You just send them a little automated email and you're just getting free clients it's free, a mail munch, stick it on your WordPress, set it up, takes literally 10-15 minutes and you're just getting free clients and email addresses that way as well. And then you just have to, as you know, you've done some great email marketing stuff with MailChimp in the past, and you just got to set up automation and send them maybe once every quarter. That's enough. Theme it, make it seasonal, talk a little bit about what you've been up to, and just say, hey, and here's the deal coming up for this month. And it's just a great way of really sort of developing those relationships and passing on information and trying to build that direct client base, because you've got to build it. Repeat guests should really, when we were at our peak, we had about 30-40% repeat guests. And that should be, if you're going to look at where your guests are coming from, I think a good figure is 20 to 40% from online bookings. And then the rest of it is either direct or repeat bookings. I think that's a good sort of balance.
Yeah.
Because then you've got the fresh coming in, but you've also got that familiarity and comfort coming out as well.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your time. Before you finish, is there any way you want to direct people to?
So you can get hold of me at the moment in the hospitality community, Christopher Chilton. Just message me on there if you've got any questions. I'm more than happy to run through bits and pieces, whether you've got questions about email copy or you're wondering anything that I've said or just need some advice. I'm in there. Talk to me. I'm very happy to give, have a chat and see how you're doing and see where I can help.
Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. Finally, if you could be so kind, before you leave, go to iTunes right now and go leave a review about this podcast. If you leave a 5-star, I will send you all the virtual hugs possible. It's my goal this year to get this podcast heard by as many hospitality owners as possible. So I need your help. If you could share a link on Twitter or Facebook or email or text or whatever, just tell one person about what I'm trying to do here, and it would mean the world. If you want to reach out and ask me any questions, email is mark@boostly.co.uk. And of course, you can come and find me on Facebook, facebook.com/Mr. Mark Simpson. I will be back for season 3, episode 3 next. If you can go find it right now, because it's available to download in iTunes.